Hey everyone, Tony D and another Piney podcast. Not a lot going on today. Cases are still around 1,300 a day, new cases. Again, increased testing. Again, they're just test positive as opposed to, people in the hospital. That's down around 3,000 people. Update on Atlas Gym. They are shut down again for the weekend. They're now going to court, try to get an injunction. It's starting to get all legally. But ultimately, I think they will prevail because what Phil has done is unconstitutional and not legal. There's a new report or article, several articles. Dr. Fauci has come out and said we need to reopen. Evidence suggests that the lockdown may have actually, in some cases and in some areas, made the situation worse. Yeah. And in fact, in Japan, and a lot of this comes from Tim Pool, although I had read about this previously, Japan is pretty much spot on with this whole thing. Very few cases, never really locked down. Told people to mitigate. They often wear the mask during flu season in Asia. So they're about to lift all restrictions probably by Monday. So it's over for them. Joan. And meanwhile here, we have a situation where who is Phil consulting for the science at this point? Now, before he could have said, well, Dr. Fauci, right? Dr. Fauci was talking about keeping things locked up for months and months and months. Now, he's changed his mind. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Fauci. I suspect, a guy in his position gets very, very political. Doesn't matter that he's a doctor. He's also, for the most part, a politician because he is a bureaucrat. But bureaucrats, when things happen, they kind of know which way the wind is blowing. I think he understands it's time to open things up. And he may not be as, he's no hardened partisan Democrat. As Tim Pool points out on his report, the map is very clear. This is mostly Democratic governors keeping things locked down. Why? Well, my theory is the National Party has pushed that as a strategy for everyone. The National Party is a collectivist organization, and collectivists tend to do the same thing. That's why they're collectivist. Whereas a Republican governor may or may not listen to you. To some extent they will, because they're political animals too, but there's also more of a rebellious streak in the Republicans than there are in the Democrats now. Now, that wasn't always true. Way back in the 70s, the Democrats were the rebellious ones because they tended to be younger, they tended to be forward thinkers, they were breaking with tradition and doing cool stuff. Now that's not the case. And their political fortunes have greatly been reduced. Greatly reduced. And they know it. They know they're on their way out. And they're struggling to cling to power. Because again, it's a win-win. If there's no second wave, they say, see, the lockdown worked. If there is a second wave, they say, see, should have stayed in longer. Never mind the economic end, because Democrats can't do economics anymore, if they ever could. Their solution to solving the economic problems of New Jersey will be to ask the federal government for a bailout, as will be the same solution for all the other states that are run by Democrats. And if Biden gets in, they figure we'll get a big pile of money and we'll spend it on various programs and people and things, and I'll be able to glad hand all the people who supported me. Yeah, we get it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Democrats are in for a rude shock, much like the Labour Party in the UK. They're going to get their clock cleaned, as well they should. Phil, the science is clear now. When you got Fauci saying open up, who do you have on your side saying keep the place closed down? Who do you have on your side saying no, incremental steps, Phil, incremental? What else are you going to do? There's nothing else to tell people. There's nothing else you could tell a barbershop other than wear a mask, wipe things down, social distance. That's it. That's all you can tell them. There's nothing else to do. You don't have a magic invention that he'll have to install in his business. There's one in LA, the germ zapping robot I did a video about. That costs $125,000. So I don't think your average barber will be able to afford to buy that machine, and there's no evidence that it works yet. By the way, it uses UV light to kill the germs, which is what media pundits that made fun of Trump for. Part of this is driven by the media. The media, whether it's the Democrats influencing the media or the media influencing the Democrats or both together, they have taken this tact that it's political to want to work or stay home. And if you're a right-wing lunatic, if you want to work, if you want to stay home, you're a hero and you're on the left. I still am more conspiratorial minded, and I think behind the scenes, everything I've read about the CIA, when it goes into a country, it divides and conquers. It divides the opposition and polarizes it until there's a massive break. Now, I'm not saying that there's a massive cabal out there. I don't think it really takes all that much. I think it just takes a concerted effort by a small group of people to push a certain agenda if you have the wind behind your back. I think a lot of times when the CIA tries this stuff, it just fails. It just fails miserably, and they have to wait. It's about the opportune moment in history at a time. And that time is here. Trump derangement syndrome has driven people to insane lengths that they're just absolutely blinded. They're blinded by everything. Facts, figures, it doesn't matter. They hate Trump, and it's this emotional blindness to him that they move forward. Now, I don't know if Murphy has that, but certainly a lot of people around him do. And and judging by the way the Atlas Gym guys have been put through the ringer and continue to be put by the ringer, judging by the fact that the state has targeted people who weren't even opening their businesses. They were trying to do mail order. They were trying to do gift certificates. They still got shut down. That's wrong. That is really, really wrong. And Phil should pay at the ballot box for that. He should be impeached, in my view. He should be impeached. He will go down in history as another one of these tyrannical governors, even though he's soft-pedaling it. He's trying to do the smart thing. Well, I'll only do it halfway. That's actually making it worse to some extent, because at least people in New York know de Blasio and Cuomo are off their nut and they're just ignoring them. Here, they're going to soft-pedal it, and that's going to make it much worse, because you're going to get half the people kind of go, well, let's give it another week, and then the other half going, no. You got churches, a group of churches want to sue the state of New Jersey. I hope they do. I think they'll win, and we'll pay for that. We'll be paying that out of our taxes. We'll have to pay for the lawyers to fight them in court, as long as people like Murphy or his minions want to fight the deal. Yeah, we'll end up paying it on both ends. We'll pay to defend the state, and then when we lose, we'll pay out the payment. So, and that'll all come out of our pocket, because That's one of the reasons you need a small government, because ultimately the people who run these things don't care about anybody but themselves. I think that's very evident right now. Phil Murphy and his lackeys don't care about you. They pretend to. They say they do. But ultimately, this is about his political career, and he is glad-handing the people above him in the Democratic Party because they want Trump out. And they see this as their strategy. Hang on, we get Trump out, Biden gets in, we dump a boatload of money on you. And you look like a savior. You pay everybody off to vote for you. Yep, I think that's the plan. I think it's pretty evident from where I'm sitting. And I don't think Phil cares, you know? Also, the mail-in ballot is another issue that is absolutely going to be corrupt as hell. I, for one, will go to vote in a voting booth. I'm not going to mail mine in. But, it's going to be, it's already massively corrupt now, mail-in votes. That's been well documented. And now the most recent thing is in Patterson. Google that. Does Murphy care? No. He knows because Democrats run the political machine in New Jersey. For now. For now they do. But that's going to change this upcoming election. Because you have thousands and thousands of people who aren't going to blame Trump for this. Trump has almost no blame in this. He does have part of the blame, but really, compared to the Democrats fighting him every step of the way, lying every step of the way, working with the media who continues to lie to us every day. Trump wanted to shut down the flights to China. The Democrats called him a racist. They said the flu, they said the virus was no big deal at first, and now they're all in and won't let us leave. You can see how transparent they are. They have become this insecure organization that just pivots from one direction to the next because they can't get a wedge issue or an angle that works for them. Rather than, hey, maybe we ought to come up with better policy. No. And that to me is the mark of the Clintons running the organization. That's their bread and butter. They were always good at those angles. They were always good at positioning. Not necessarily making policy, although Bill was way better at it than Hillary ever was. But, positioning is a Clinton thing. And after they bailed out the DNC from bankruptcy, they run the party. And I think this is coming from them and their ties, and they're making big promises in order to win this thing. And they're going to win it by any means necessary. Or they're going to try to anyway. I think the landslide is going to be so in favor of Trump. This will finally break the Democratic Party. And I say good riddance at this point. I cannot stand another day of this lockdown. How many restaurants are going to be left when all this is over? Every day I see this diner that I go to or used to, and it's a huge sprawling place. They've been doing takeout, but I got to figure the overhead, just keeping the lights on and cooking that food. It must be killing them. They must be just hanging on. This is a vibrant place in South Jersey I'm talking about. A place that, really needs to open. And they could easily open at half capacity and do some business. I know when they open, they'll be filled to the rafters with people. The evidence suggests now that that's a better thing, to end the lockdown, to get people out. And some of the science backs that up. The science just backs that up. The doctors who were edited off of YouTube, censored, they said, and this is true, every day you interact with people and viruses go back and forth between human beings, harmless, seemingly harmless ones, and that is a way to keep bodies more immune, to keep bodies healthy, because you are interacting with people, you're out, you're active, you're getting sunlight, which was another big factor. You're not in at home getting lazy and run down. So we need to end the lockdown, Phil. Now you're going against the state. The people of the state want to be out of this lockdown. You are the only thing holding it back. The science is against you. The people are against you. I guess you're just determined to burn it to the ground, just like the rest of these guys with a D next to their name. I, for one, hope you get impeached. I do. I hope and if not, I hope your next electoral gambit is a humiliating defeat that causes you to never, ever run for public office again. Because in the face of these scientific facts, in the face of the federal government's head medical honcho telling you, you should open this thing up, you decide to pick on a gym or pick on various small businesses, why large corporations gobble up all the proceeds, why people pay taxes for schools their kids aren't going to, and while you fritter and waste our money on a system of contact tracing that no one asked for, no one wants, and probably will be utterly useless by the end of this summer. Phil has to go. Impeach Phil Murphy, open New Jersey.